Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of Game of Thrones Season 7 Episode 1, which was entitled Dragonstone. And if you want to keep up to date with all my episode reviews of Game of Thrones and all my latest videos, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. And as always with my videos, this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. So Game of Thrones is back and I thought this was a very serviceable season opener. They didn't give too much away, but I think that's fine. I wasn't expecting a huge, grandiose episode 1. It was very, I don't want to say subdued, but the story was there and all of the characters and all of their stories were set in place and we know what every character is building to now for the rest of the season. So I thought that was great. Really enjoyed the very first scene of the episode. I think that's the best first scene of a season we've had for at least 3 or 4 seasons, if not longer, where Arya revered herself to the phrase as she killed them all. It was amazing, and what a badass way to reintroduce us into the Arya Stark character. Everyone else had a pretty solid episode. Really enjoyed the stuff and all of the character development with Sansa and Jon. Very early on in this season, they have developed 2 very different characters. I think there's going to be a lot of flare-ups between those two. I say they are 2 very different characters. Sansa is purely out for revenge, and Jon is more level-headed. And it was great to see them conflicting very early on, and it's good to see how that is going to progress throughout the rest of the season. But was it just me, or was there just a little bit of sexual tension between Jon and Sansa? Now, this is Game of Thrones where anything can happen, and they're not technically brother and sister. But yeah, they just felt that there was that little smidge of sexual tension with Jon and Sansa. It was great. Really good stuff with Sam. I wasn't a fan of having Sam in the first episode, but I think he served a purpose really well. Obviously, him finding out about the dragon glass that is now on Dragonstone tied into the overall story of the episode. So yeah, it was really nice to see Sam, actually. I really enjoyed that. Also, with Sam the Man, we have now found out the location of Ser Jorah Mormont. He is in the Citadel. We don't know what sort of state he's in. We only saw his arm, which looks pretty bad. His face looks still kind of looked human. But again, that was a really great thing because I forgot about that after the end of Season 6. So to have him thrust back into the story very early on in Season 7, it kept everything fresh and it was really exciting. Cersei, again, that was just kind of like, yeah, we kind of knew what you were going to do when you met the Greyjoys. So yeah, that was fine for me. I don't really have anything negative or positive to say. Cersei's playing a very dangerous game, I think. I think Euron Greyjoy is great as a character. He's very charismatic, and if those two do end up working on the same page, then it is going to make some great viewing later on in the season. And then other than that, it was just Daenerys, I think. Oh no, sorry, yeah, we had the Hound. I'll leave Daenerys till the end. But the Hound, again, loved the Hound. I'm so happy he was there. Didn't think he really had a place in the season opener. But again, it was still nice to see him. I think they could have left that scene, though, for maybe episode 2 or 3, just to re-establish his character. But he has now been turned by the Lord of Light, and I think that's great. It adds another depth to his character, because we've only ever seen him as this really angry, cynical guy. And I like the way that they've peeled layers of his character back the last couple of seasons since he was left for dead. And I think him now joining the Lord of Light, it is a perfect scenario for him to be him, because because he is really cynical, but now he's seen the light, he's got a purpose, and I'm excited to see where they go with this character. So moving on to the sort of last character that we got re-established with in this episode, it was obviously Daenerys. I think she had like one line, and that was the very last line of the episode, which was like, let's get to it, or let's get planning. I can't actually remember. But she is at Dragonstone now. It's where she needs to be. It's where she was born. She is now, after 6 long bloody seasons. She is back in Westeros where we have all wanted her to be, and again, just that last scene of let's get started, she's in the war room, we know she's planning, and again, with her being on Dragonstone, as I said, that ties into the overall episode. It ties into the Jon and Sam story, because as we know, there is a lot of dragonglass on the island of Dragonstone, so it's really exciting to see where all that story is going to be heading. And yeah, I say it was a pretty, I said at the beginning of the review, I didn't want to sound too negative, it was a pretty serviceable episode, but a lot actually happened, and we got some really great stories being built up for future episodes and the rest of this season, and I've held it in all the way through this review. I'm nearly at the end of it, so I'm gonna rant now. I apologise. There's been a lot of controversy over the weekend about TV shows, but I'm going to throw it out there. My God, why the fuck was Ed Sheeran in Game of Thrones? Jesus Christ. What a waste of a scene. What a waste of money. What a waste of bloody time. It was so cringy. Why was he there? If you took that scene out of the show, nobody would bat an eyelid. It just wasn't... It just wasn't pivotal to the storyline of this episode. The only thing we found out was that Sansa's going to King's Landing. They could have done that anywhere. It was just so pointless, and having him singing as well, it was so cringy. It just didn't work for me at all. Considering you had a real actor in there, the kid from This Is England, I can't remember his name eludes me at this moment in time, but I just felt that was so degrading for him. You know, I'm fine, have cameos, have musicians obviously cameoed in the show before. Will Buckley from Coldplay was a drummer in The Red Wedding, but that's fine, he didn't have a speaking part. But to have Ed Sheeran in there, and literally they wrote this scene for Ed Sheeran to be in there so he can sing and just have lines, it was so bad. And I'm a wrestling fan, and I know what it means when you bring celebrities in to start building stories around them. It's a sign of a dying show, and that's why it's just made me so angry. It's because Game of Thrones is the hottest show on TV. It doesn't need to be doing this. You know, by all means, have him in there if you want to have a cameo, but don't have it where he gets speaking lines and it takes away from the overall story. It just wasn't... I just don't get it. I just don't get why it was there. It's pandering and it was awful. So please let that be the end of bad cameos for the rest of this season. Just don't do it. I like Ed. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on Ed Sheeran for the fact he's Ed Sheeran. I like him, I enjoy his music. It's just he didn't need to be there. And I'm going to leave it on there. I didn't want to get too negative and ranty, but I just had to get that out there because I didn't enjoy that aspect of the show. But as I said, it was a very, very serviceable season opener. Got me very excited for the rest of the season. It's sown plot points, it's sown a story. We know where we're heading, or we think we know where we're heading. And that's what, again, Game of Thrones can change and anything can happen. But it looks like we have a course for all of our characters, and it's really exciting to see which direction they're going to go in. So if you did enjoy this episode, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about Game of Thrones. Where do you see everything going for the rest of the season? And if you did enjoy this episode of my review, if you did enjoy this review, then let me know by hitting that like button. And as always, if you did enjoy this video, then hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the very next episode of the Game of Thrones review and the Jamie Hughes Show very, very soon. Ta-ra!